I understand you are the Executive Director of FairVote Minnesota?
That's correct.
And how long have you been overseeing the operation?
Well, I began being a volunteer with FairVote back in 2006 when we began the campaign in Minneapolis to bring ranked choice voting into that city, and then became the executive director and assisted St. Paul in making it happen here. And now there are many other cities that are interested in using this, including Duluth. Red Wing, Minnesota has decided to put it on the ballot. There's interest in Bloomington and several other cities as well.
Wonderful. So it started here in Minneapolis and it's expanding to other Minnesota cities.
That's right. Our strategy is to make sure that it can be used on a local basis and shown that it works well, so that when we're ready to take this up to statewide, we know that we've got a firm infrastructure in place to make that happen. And we think we can. We do across the country, not just here in Minnesota. It's in use in various cities and working very, very well. Minneapolis began using it 2 years ago in 2009, so St. Paul begins this year. And our role in the education process is to help make sure all voters are prepared for the switch to the new system.
And then just for a little background information about FairVote and right choice voting, what is the objective of all of this? What inspired you to start this?
Well, the objective is to make elections work better. There are so many things that go wrong in the way that we hold our elections, and they lead to a broken democracy and a broken system of governance. So what this does is a few things. On a local level, what it really brings is more voter participation to the process, as Bill Moyer as well. So it allows us to combine the primary and the general election, so all the voters get to weigh in on the decision in November when turnout is highest and most diverse. And it makes sure that we get a winner who has the support of the majority of the voters when that happens. Or in a multi-state election, we represent more voters because we have more candidates elected at once. And at a state level, when we can bring this to that level, then we'll have the opportunity to make sure that whoever wins elections in the gubernatorial races or legislative races, that they do win with the majority of the state.
Wonderful, wonderful. So then just to give us an idea, what do you have planned out for the next couple of years of the coming election, and what's the next step?
Well, again, staying with our local strategy, we have Minneapolis in place. We'll be running for a new election there in 2013, and St. Paul has an election this year again in 2013. If it goes on the ballot soon in places like Red Wing, Duluth, possibly Bloomington, then we could have elections there in 2013 or 2015, but we'll be educating voters as well to make sure that they are prepared for the switch. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we pass legislation that will be a local option still, to make sure that communities who decide to use it can do it with ease and simplicity and effectiveness, so that it goes well in all of the municipalities that want to use it. And keep in mind that the cities that can now use it have their charters that they can change, so there are laborious charter amendment processes that are needed to make this happen. But cities could do it much more simply by passing an ordinance, and cities that don't have a charter could also do it if they were allowed to by statute. We had legislation that would allow them to do that.
Wonderful. And then could you direct us to like a website where we can kind of stay in the loop and figure out how we can get involved, if we can help out?
Sure, and it's one of those kinds of action-oriented movements where it brings in a lot of volunteers, a lot of excitement. Every campaign is one with hundreds and hundreds of volunteers and lots of energy. It's really making elections and democracy work better, not just young people, middle-aged people, old people. So the way to contact us is fairvotemn.org.
FairVoteMN.org.
And you can find us that way. All of the information you ever wanted to know on ranked choice voting is there on our website for the state of Minnesota. And there are organizations in other states that are working on similar reforms. So we're not working alone here in Minnesota. It is a national movement.
Wonderful. And then did you have any closing statements?
Well, no, I'm just excited that you're all here to participate in this big election with this big event here in St. Paul and Bill Moyers. And having Bill Moyers come to speak to the kind of democracy reform that we need, not only here in Minnesota but across the country, just validates the work that we're all doing and helps excite more people in the process. So we hope that we're establishing something important here in Minnesota, and that we're going to be taking this hopefully statewide, and that this will spread to other kinds of to other states as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's an honor to be here today. Again, I thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you could be here.
Absolutely.
It's an honor.